So a couple of days ago, there was a meeting regarding possible peace, like a negotiation with the Russo-Ukrainian war. And once again, Zelensky had some colorful language to describe the process. Of course, he doesn't want to agree to any kind of peace deal because explicitly he says he's standing on principle that that Russia is this big bad state and that we can't give an inch to Russia, but he's not willing to make any concessions. And unless a foreign country gets directly involved in the war, say the United States or say Poland and Romania, as in like actual boots on the ground, and these economies go into full-time war production, unless that happens, Ukraine does not have any chance at all of retaking the territories that they have lost, Crimea and the Donbass. That was Russia's objectives, was to permanently or make permanent the recognition that Crimea is part of Russia. They wanted to take the Donbass, and they also wanted to overthrow the regime that is currently in Kiev. So they have taken their territorial ambitions, their objectives. They're moving very slowly, but the regime is still there. So there's not really any hope for this regime. This regime is going to be on its way out at some point. They probably also want to, Russia that is, wants to put pressure on NATO. Now that's debatable. You have Finland and Sweden that have just joined NATO, which is probably not what the Russians want. And by the way, I'm not defending Russia. I'm not saying Russia is necessarily the good guys here. But you have to recognize what the situation is. That there is quite a bit of history in this region, that the United States really doesn't have an interest here. This is a piece of territory that has gone back and forth. It's been part of Russia. There are Ukrainians there. These countries have, these peoples have a history. I mean, you had the collectivization under Stalin. So there's a very strong anti-Russian sentiment amongst the Ukrainian people. In Ukraine, the Russians have a different viewpoint of this. But the bottom line is that the United States does not have a reason to get directly involved. If there is to be any kind of peace, Russia is not going to back down. Zelensky is going to have to be the one to make concessions. And of course, he doesn't want to do that because if he does, he's out of power. So eventually what will probably happen is the United States will just simply walk away and say, okay, Zelensky, you either make concessions or we'll just pull all support from you. And I think that's probably going to be what's going to end up happening. And either way, it's going to be the end of the regime. So Russia's going to get basically what it wants.